From the harbor, the emperor proceeded under canopy to the parish church to hear a Te Deum. The service was conducted by Father Arrighi, Vicar General of the Bishop of Ajaccio and Bastia. When the ceremony was over, His Majesty proceeded to the town hall amid a crowd eager to see him. Windows were decked with flags, and handkerchiefs waved in joy. The Italian imagination, in contrast to the simplicity and honesty of the Albans, had an enchanting effect. All reached the highest level of exaltation. Once arrived at the town hall, the emperor courteously received all who came. It was already a family celebration day. He invited the lay and religious officials to maintain union and concord. This was not necessary. As of April 28th, order had been restored. General Drouot was named governor of the island, and the emperor placed on his hat a cockade with the colors he had just adopted. The public officials and the National Guard did the same. The following pastoral letter was published and posted in all the communities. Joseph Philippe Arrighi, honorary canon of the Pisa Cathedral and the Metropolitan Church of Florence, etc., under the Bishop of Ajaccio, Vicar General of the island of Elba and the Principality of Piombino. To our beloved in the Lord, our brethren of the clergy, and to all the faithful on the island, salutations and blessings. Divine Providence, who through its good will disposes inexorably of all things and assigns the nation their destinies, has decided in the midst of political changes in Europe that we hereafter be the subjects of Napoleon the Great. The island of Elba, already famous for its natural products, is now about to become illustrious in the history of nations through the homage it pays its new prince, whose glory is immortal. The island of Elba indeed takes its rank among nations, and its small territory is ennobled by the name of its sovereign. Elevated to such a sublime honor, she receives in her midst the man anointed by the Lord and the other distinguished people accompanying him. When His Imperial and Royal Majesty chose this island for his retirement, he announced to the universe what his choice was, what wealth is about to inundate our country, what multitudes will rush in from all points to behold a hero. The first day he set foot on our shores, he proclaimed our destiny and our honor. I shall be a good father, he said. Be you, my beloved children. Dear Catholics, what words of tenderness, what expressions of goodwill, what token of our future happiness. May these words charm your thoughts and deeply imprinted on your hearts, may they be an unending source of consolation. Let fathers repeat this to their children. Let the memory of these words that assure the glory and prosperity of the island of Elba be perpetuated from generation to generation. Fortunate inhabitants of Porto Ferrajo, it is within your walls that the sacred person of His Imperial and Royal Majesty shall live. You have been known throughout the ages for your kindness of spirit and affection for your princes. Napoleon the Great now resides among you. Never forget the favorable impression he has formed of his faithful subjects. And all of you faithful in Jesus Christ, heed your destiny. May faithfulness, gratitude, and submissiveness reside within your hearts. Unite all in respectful feelings of love for your prince, who is more like your good father than your sovereign. Celebrate with holy joy the kindness of the Lord, who throughout eternity has reserved for you this happy event. Consequently, we order that next Sunday be sung in all churches a solemn Te Deum of thanksgiving to the Almighty for the favor He has bestowed on us in His abundant mercy. Given in the Episcopal Palace of the island of Elba, May 6, 1814. Vicar General Arrighi, Francesco Angioletti, Secretary. The Emperor spent his first days inspecting public buildings and making several journeys to various points on the island. He went to visit the Rio mines, stopping at the house of Monsieur Ponce, the director, to have lunch with him. The emperor's belongings were unloaded. 20,000 francs were found missing from the treasury. Pérouse had the funds he brought from Fontainebleau taken up to the lodgings prepared for him. They were in bags of 1,000 gold Napoleons, packed in straw. The unpacking was done hastily, with a sentinel at the door. He belonged to the Island Commando Battalion, was a cobbler by trade, father of a large family, and poor, and thought how useful a small part of this gold could be to himself and his family. The gold was at last in the treasurer's quarters. The crates upended and abandoned. The straw still there. He was alone and wished he could find a few coins in the straw he spread about with his feet. His surprise was great when his foot encountered some resistance, and he discovered it was a bag similar to those he had seen being brought up. His body shook all over. He did not know what to do and hesitated for a long time. Finally, certain he had not been seen, he placed the bag in his tall hat, which he put back on his head, and continued his guard duty. As soon as he was relieved, he took his treasure home. That same day, he went to see the parish priest, asking him to display the Holy Sacrament for 3 days to thank God for the help he had brought him and his family. The man, known to be poor, suddenly began spending above his means. It was felt this could only be at someone else's expense. Noticing the disappearance, Mr. Perusa informed the court of the amount and urged them to keep the affair secret so that the emperor would not hear about it. The police conducted an inquiry, and the man whose sudden spending had already attracted suspicion was arrested. At first he denied all, then he kept the money he spent had been found in a ditch. Fear of a sentence kept him replying in the negative, and when he was assured there would be no punishment and that Monsieur Perusa had even promised to give him 2,000 francs if he told the truth, he admitted to everything. The entire sum was not recovered. 4,000 francs remained in his hands or was lost. I received all of these details from Monsieur Poggi de Lavo, who was examining magistrate at that time. After remaining a few days at City Hall, the emperor moved into a house where some engineering officers were quartered. It was there I found His Majesty. I took advantage of a moment when the emperor was absent from this modest palace to familiarize himself with it. The house consisted of a long-ceilinged ground floor with 10 rooms. 4 faced the town with a commanding view, a front hall, a small drawing room, a dining room, and a small gallery. The 6 others faced the garden and the sea. A study, a library, a bedroom, a bathroom, and 2 utility rooms for interior service. This house, located at the top of one of the steepest streets in town, stood halfway up the hill, dominated by the Étoile Fort, where General Cambron was quartered, and the Falcon Fort further away. These 2 forts, connected by a covered path, made up the city defenses facing the sea.